Hello and welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm here today with a traditional podcast format. So I'm going to talk to you about what I finished in the last month, what I'm working on right now, acquisitions, and I have some exciting life updates. So let's talk about it. Hey, hello, welcome or welcome back. So I think this is gonna be a fun episode. I was like, I kind of kept telling myself I should delay filming because I don't have a lot of finished objects to show you, even though I finished 4 things in the last month, but I only have 2 of them with me and one isn't knit. So I was like, oh, is it gonna be boring? But no, I think that there's a lot going on and a lot of different exciting things. So I just want to get into it. So let's talk about stuff. I have very poorly just thrown everything into a pile. So I'm immediately struggling to find my first finished object. Okay, so starting with our finished objects, I finished this hat last time we talked. You know, this hat as it currently sits. This is a Scone hat, which is out now. This is the baby version, which is included in the pattern. There's baby through adult large, or 15.75 inches to 24-inch head circumferences available in the pattern with 5 different sizes. So I'd finished this last time, but I finally added a little pumpkin patch. Look at that. So cute. Also, I got an external monitor for my phone. I film on my phone. So I used to always film on the front camera, and now I'm able to film on the back camera and see myself on the external monitor. So hopefully the quality of my filming is better because I can use my actually nice camera instead of the front facing. But I'm still kind of getting used to it. But look at that focus. Look at that. Yeah, look at her go. So yeah, I added the little pumpkin embroidery patch. So this is a pumpkin flavored scone for the Scone Run hat. And yeah, that pattern's available now as of today, so you can go shop it. I've shown this sample before. This is my first version. This is a blueberry Scone Run hat. The blueberry embroidery, both these patches are included in the pattern. So the blueberry also has a smaller version for the baby child size, which is 1 inch. This is 2 inches. And then the pumpkin has a larger version for adult sizes. So this is a 1 inch little patch. There's a larger, slightly more detailed version that is 2 inches for the adult sizes. So yeah, that hat is out today. And I really loved adding just this tiny little pumpkin to this little hat. So I can show the whole flavor range. So very excitingly, the hat's out, and I'll have the direct links down below, both to my Ravelry and, excitingly, I made a website because, I don't know, I feel like it was a good step for taking myself more seriously. But if you do want to check out the website as well, I put a lot of work into making like a portfolio of sample knits. I added a little bit of my knitting story on the homepage so you can read more about how I got into knitting. There's ways to contact me. I'll probably eventually add like FAQs or things like that. So if you do want to just go look at it, that'd be awesome. But yeah, I know not everyone likes to buy from Ravelry, and so I wanted an option for folks who would rather buy from a different site. So you can buy directly from me, which is cool. It's the same. I don't care which you buy from, it'll be the same take home from me and kind of the same, hopefully, cost for you guys. I'll make sure that the processing fees are the same, but I don't really have control over the processing fees. So whichever is easier or better for you, feel free to go there. But yeah, that's the Scone Run hat. And so not really a finished object in the knit sense, but just a little embroidery patch, and super fun, super like took an afternoon. So there we go. And then I will quickly mention, last time I talked to you guys, I was working on the Duotone by Rachel Costello, which really cool pattern. I finished that. It was a sample knit for Explore Knits and Fibers and their new Middle of the Map collection, which they finally announced the name of it, so I can say the name of it. It's Middle of the Map collection, so I worked with 2 of their yarns from that to make the Duotone. And then I also did another sample for them, which was the Westward, which is patterned by Taylor Harris, and it's a wool folk pattern. It was kind of, you know, yarn brands will sometimes pay a designer to design with their yarns, and it was one of those. And so that was also really fun, again, for the middle of the map collection and a sample. And so I have neither of those with me because I gave them back to Explore Knits to show soon, and I couldn't show them anyways because neither of the colorways have been revealed. And so next time I talk to you, all the colorways should be revealed, and so I will be able to post photos there. So in my next podcast, I should say, I talk to you guys, I try to talk on here like every week. And so next podcast, I will show you photos of the finished products in all their colorful glory. But in the meantime, I did finish those. And so that's why I've kind of got small projects here, because the majority of my time was spent on sample knits that you can't see. But both were a real joy to work on. Working with Explore Knits is always wonderful, and I'm kind of foreshadowing to life updates, which we'll talk about more at the end, but something to do with Explore Knits in a broader sense. And so, yeah. And then I also worked on my final finished object, some leg warmers for my friend. And so she better not watch this video. She is subscribed to me, but she doesn't really watch my channel. And I also am horrible at surprises. And so I kind of, if she sees them before tomorrow when I give them to her, oh well. But my friend has a birthday on April 1st, on Tuesday. And so I made her some leg warmers because she's been asking me forever to make her leg warmers. And I finally got around to it. And so the yarn, I don't want to talk about it very much because it is an Explore Knits colorway. These have been released before, but yes, this is the yarn I used was kind of actually left over from a sample knit, which these colors have been released. I'm not going to say the names of them, but yes. And here is an up close so you can see. There is lace in the pattern. Let me kind of try to stretch it for you. So looks like this. These are the Some Cloudy Day leg warmers by Tiny Owl Knits. They're a free leg warmer pattern, and they're meant for sport weight yarn. And so I did size up needles because I was working with a fingering and a lace held together, which is more of a DK weight. And so I sized up needles and reduced the stitch count, took out basically one motif, and worked out fine. They fit really well on me, and they'll definitely fit my friend. And yeah, with the Surrey, I'm working with Surrey here. It's really hard to see the lace. Maybe you can see that, but there's like, it's kind of almost 4-leaf clover designs in the leg warmer. And I decided on this pattern because I was thinking originally I'd make like a cable design, but I really did not have a lot of yarn, especially the Surrey, which is why the bottoms of the leg warmers are just the fingering weight yarn. So I really did not have a lot of Surrey. And so I decided that a lace weight would be better, or not, a pattern with lace would be better because it would actually make my yarn go further compared to cables, which takes more yarn than stockinette. And so went with the lace, and it's not very much lace, so it really didn't make my yarn go that much further to have this lace motif, but I do think that they're beautiful and they're a nice textural interest. I didn't just want to make stockinette ones, and they were really easy to work. This was also, I decided because of how low on Surrey I was that I wanted to work these 2 at a time. And so with like a really long needle, really long cord, I worked magic loop on both of them to do 2 at a time. And I'd never done that before. And at first, trying to cast on was horrible. Like, I hated casting on in 2 at a time because you basically have to cast on half your stitches for your first one, put that down, grab another ball of yarn or set of yarn, whatever, cast on the stitches for that, start your kind of magic loop and go to the other side, cast on the other half of the stitches for that one, and then drop that, and then you're back to the first, and you got to cast on the rest of the stitches here, and then you join in the round, and then you work. And so for whatever reason, I was trying to cast this on really kind of late at night, I think, and I'd had a long day, and I was just not having it, and thought I was going to have to give up on 2 at a time because I could not figure out casting on for like 3 hours. I was trying while I was watching TV and doing other stuff, but I tried for like 3 hours straight to cast them on and just could not figure it out. But then the next day it was not that hard. I don't know. I think I was just tired. And then the first few rounds in 2 at a time were kind of tricky. But once I kind of got a flow going, the majority of this was pretty easy to figure out, working them 2 at a time. So I did add a new skill to my list, which felt great, and I made a nice gift, which I hope she'll like. They're definitely short, like they're probably about 10 inches, which, like, I don't know, they cover your ankles. That's really what you want out of a leg warmer. You don't need that much calf covered, so they're gonna do the job. They were nice and scrappy, where I was able to use up pretty much all of the yarn I had left over from something or from a sample, and they're cute. And I feel like they're a good color for her, this nice green, so I think that she'll enjoy them as well. So there we go. Those are my finished objects. And then we're just gonna swing into whips. I technically have 3 whips right now, but I have shown the other 2 multiple times and no progress has occurred on them. So my other 2 are my colorwork raglan that I've been working on, which I'll have a picture of. And I just had to set it down because the amount of sample knits I have. And then honestly, I feel like at this point, I do want to pick it up, but I really do want to work on my spring knitting plans. I might be doing another sample knit soon, and I have some other design ideas that I really would like to have released in the fall, which I'll talk about them more in a minute. But because I want a design released in the fall, that means I need probably 10-week tester period because it's a fingering weight sweater I'm looking at. So I need to really have my design ready to go by mid-June, and on top of my spring knitting plans and working on that, I don't know when I'll pick back up the colorwork raglan. I'm still incredibly excited about it and still think it's going to be amazing, but it's at the point now where I can't wear it for a while. It's getting warm, and I just feel like if I started working on it again, I would just be very stressed the majority of the time about the other things I need to work on, like my spring knitting plans, because I want to finish a knitting plan. Like, I want to finish my seasonal knitting plans and thinking about these other design things and sample knits. And so I'm setting it down for now, and when I pick it up, I'll pick it up. And so that's on pause now. And then I've also got the triangulum blanket, which I've said before is going to be a very long-term whip, and I have not picked it up at all, so I don't even have any more triangles to show you. So there we go. Those are my other 2 whips. But the star of the show whip here is this hat. So here she is. So this is the brim of the hat. This is the Ambler quilt hat by Katryn Seeburger, and I am test knitting it, and so it's not out yet. Also, Katryn told me that she watches my channels, and specifically her dog really loves watching me. And so, hi Katryn and your dog. It's lovely. Like, that was so sweet when she messaged me to tell me that. It was very much like a pinch me, like, oh, there are like actual people watching. Like, I know you all are also real people, but sometimes it's hard to remember that. And so it's nice to always hear when people watch and enjoy what I'm doing. And it's so exciting to be working on a test knit for her. And so, yes, this is the Ambler quilt hat. I am making the size youth because I have a tiny head. And so I'm kind of trying to fold up the brim to show you what it'll look like. But it's a really interesting construction, really well thought out construction, where basically you make a little stockinette bit for a while before getting into your color work, so that this will end up being a folded brim. So I'm working on the brim right now. So if you can imagine, like, here's the stockinette, this folds in, I will eventually sew this down, and then there will be a hat in here. And so yeah, it's been really fun. I cast this on like 3 days ago and already am quite far into it, maybe 2. I think I cast it on Friday, and it is Sunday. So I'm finding that this is working up really quickly, at least for me, even though it's fingering weight and color work. But I have been talking to my new coworkers and friends who all knit, which is awesome. I'll talk. I feel like I just keep alluding to things, but I'll talk more about it. But I was talking to them about color work and how, like, I don't know, normally I think of color work as taking longer because it's more complex than like stockinette. But all of us were kind of agreeing that, like, yeah, it's more complex, but it's also more engaging. And so I feel like in some ways color work knits up quicker. And so maybe that's part of why I've already got this much hat, and I started on Friday. And I don't feel like I've knit that much. Like, I've been doing a lot of computer work and other things. I haven't just been sitting knitting, and I already have this much hat. And so yeah, it's working up really quickly. It's really enjoyable. The color work is not easy to memorize yet. It's kind of larger motifs, and so it's hard to memorize. And here, let me try to show you. I haven't finished a full motif yet, but you can see it's quilt stars. And so if you quilt and you know what specific star this is, please comment down below. I'd love to know. But it is kind of a quilt motif, a little quilt star motif, which it's so exciting. Like, I've been in such awe of quilt motifs that have been kind of taking over the knitting world and pottery world, and just like very popular across a lot of different mediums right now. And I've been wanting to make something with a quilt motif for a long time. I have make quilt socks on my 2025 knitting bingo. And so when I saw the test call for this, I was like, oh my God, I can make a quilt hat. That would be so fun. And I don't do test knits that often, but I really like Katryn's design. She also did the heirloom quilt cardigan, and she has a book sleeve that also uses quilt motifs. And so I really like her style. I love the quilt things. I love all of her other makes too. She's just like a really cool person parasocially online. Like, I think she's cool. And so I really wanted to test knit for her and make this hat. And so I'm really excited to actually be working on it. And so yeah, there is the quilt motif, so you can see it in the best detail. And yes, the yarn I'm using for this is really exciting as well, because my last podcast I talked about dyeing yarn with avocados, and that I wasn't sure how I was going to use that yarn because it's my skin color pretty much. So it is my skin color. Here's the yarn, and I decided to work color work with it so that it's not just this color, and it'll be on my hat, on my head, so my hair will block it from really being directly showing against my skin, because I have bangs as well. So there's going to be a little bit of hair between all of the hat and my skin, so that'll be nice. And then, you know, there's beautiful color work, so I feel like it looks less skin colory. And then, so that's the avocado yarn, which is KnitPicks Capretta, which is a fingering weight base. It has cashmere, silk, and wool. I don't remember the exact fiber content, but I know that it's got a little bit of cashmere. It's mostly merino wool though, and it's just a really nice, plump, squishy, soft base. So I'm really enjoying that. And then hand dyed by me with avocados. And then I've got this yarn, which ignore the yarn vomit at the bottom, but this is from Salty Blonde Fine Fibers. I actually used this in a sample knit over a year ago. It is her yak sock base, which I don't know if she carries anymore. Sometimes she does, sometimes she doesn't. I know that it's kind of hard to dye with this yarn because it's darker, but the yak sock, and it is in the colorway Dazzling Creature. So it's from her Jane Austen Book Club collection from over a year ago, and it is so pretty. I'm so glad I'm finally working with it again because it is so nice. Like, I really love the yak base. It's also very drapey, and so I think that these two yarns together are just doing great things, and I'm really excited to wear this hat in the near-ish future. So yeah, it's coming out really cute. I keep being very stressed that it's not going to fit because it needs to stretch on my head and it's color work, but I've tried it on like 3 times now and it is fitting, so that is awesome and fun, and color work's just so addictive. So yeah, I'm really excited for this object, and I'm so excited. Like, I will probably finish the brim today, and that means I'll finish like the first quilt star and get to sew down the back of the brim, and so I'm really excited for all of that. It's looking wonderful. So yeah, that is my one main whip right now, which is very fun, kind of relaxing a little bit. There is a deadline associated, but it is April 16th for the deadline, and it is March 30th. And so I feel like in the next 18 days, I will be able to finish a hat. So I feel very chill about that. So yes, there we go. Those are my whips. Do have some acquisitions. I will say inspirations, again, I don't know, this month, like even though I'm not working full time, I somehow feel busier now. I guess I'm just filling my time with other things and doing things that are actually really engaging. So I'm not spending as much time on my phone. Like my screen time report used to always be like 9-10 hours a day, and now it's usually like 4, which is awesome. So I don't really have inspirations right now. I'm feeling inspired by a lot of things, but more kind of outside of knitwear, outside of knitting, just like my own ideas for designing. I'm feeling very inspired by the seasons and gardening. I planted bulbs in the fall and they're finally coming up, so I have some daffodils and feel very inspired to start my garden and do all of that. It's definitely still too early. I was like plugging in the sprinklers yesterday and then it started snowing, so gotta slow down there. But yeah, I'm feeling very inspired in other ways right now, by different colors and being around different people and all of this, but I don't have like this thing inspired me like I normally do, so sorry about that. But I do have some acquisitions. It was my birthday in March, so on March 15th it was my birthday, and I have lovely friends who know me so well, and you know, lovely family members as well. And so I've got some yarny acquisitions from that, and then I have one other exciting one. But let me start. I always try to go in chronological order, so let me start with this set. So my lovely friend, who I actually made the leg warmers for, Leah, I've talked about her before, she got me a kind of fun little dye kit. So this is a indigo dye kit, and so it contains enough dye for several pounds of fiber, and so it's got indigo extract, fructose, pickling lime, and instructions in it. And so it comes in this box like this, and the brand for this is theloveofcolor.com. It's COLOUR. I'll put the URL if you're interested, but let me show you what it looks like. So watch one of these like come open. Here's the indigo. Here is the calx, which is maybe the pickling liquid. I guess you don't need to see that it says CALX on it. And then fructose. And then it's got very detailed instructions on how to do this process, and it's really interesting. So you need there to be no oxygen in it for it to work, and then the way that the dye then sticks is when it's exposed to air and oxidizes like on the yarn or fiber or whatever you're dyeing. And so it's going to be really interesting. You've got to make your dye vat and then kind of let it sit. And then unlike a lot of other processes where you really want to agitate, like really mix or dunk whatever you're dyeing in it, you just want to dip it and then pull it out slowly. And then you don't even want to let it drip into the pot again, because that can introduce oxygen and air because you're kind of agitating it. You want to do that over, and then you have to dip it multiple times to get a strong color. So it's going to be a really interesting process to do this. I'm very excited for that. I kind of want to plan a day with my friend Leah where we can dye things together, because she gave me a lot of yarn, but as this says, it can dye several pounds of fiber. So I've got 3 skeins of yarn, and you have to do everything at once. I can't make like a small vat and then do another small vat later. And so I kind of want to like save up different things to dye. I might try to do some like, I think it's called sashiko dyeing, where you take like, it's kind of tie-dye, but it's Japanese, and it's more about like specific ways of knotting it and folding it to make dye patterns. And so kind of want to do that and maybe get some cotton or silk fabric of some kind to just do that with. And so yeah, I kind of want to have like an indigo dye party and just get up enough stuff where it's worth making the whole vat. So she gave me that, and then also gave me 3 skeins of yarn from KnitPicks. It was so cute. We went and got afternoon tea together for my birthday. So it was me, Leah, and Hollis, who's another one of our great friends, and Hollis does knit and crochets as well. And so Leah was asking Hollis for what yarns to get me, and so ended up with a good selection here. And so the first one she got me is this Aristo base from KnitPicks, and it is so nice and soft. So it is a lace weight. It's 984 yards and 100 grams. And it is 70% merino, 15% cashmere, and 15% mulberry silk. And it is so soft. It is so cushy and soft. And I do also have to say, all of them look a little funky, all of the skeins, because Kepler played with all of them. I made the mistake of thinking he would not find them in the gift bag, which was covered in tissue paper. He found them, but they're not harmed. They're just a little scraggly now, which is fine. It's still yarn. So yes, this nice Aristo base. And then she got me this gloss base, which I've actually worked with before from KnitPicks. So it is a 70% merino wool, 30% silk base, and super, super nice and soft. It's very drapey, and yeah, it's weird. Some of their undyed yarn comes like this, where it's in like, it's not in a hank, it's got the ties on it, but it's just like ready to put on a Swift. And then some come wound up in a skein. So very interesting. And then this is the final one she got me. This is KnitPicks Felici, and it is a traditional sock, 75 superwash merino wool, 25% nylon, finger weight. And so, you know, looks like that undyed. And so I'll get to play with all of those. I think some of them I want to indigo dye with, but then some of them I've been talking about wanting to do a dye garden. So some of them I might save for my dye garden as well. So that was really exciting to just get some more bare yarn to play with, and the indigo dye that I can play with as well in the future. So that was also really exciting. Oh, and then my next acquisition, I've been wanting an e-spinner for a really long time. I started spinning with a drop spindle last May or April, March or April maybe, and it is really enjoyable to spin with a drop spindle, but it kind of hurts your arms, at least mine, because you're kind of doing this motion, and my shoulders, I don't know, they're just a little funky. And so it was kind of messing with my shoulders, and so I couldn't do it very often for very long. And so finally I've been wanting an e-spinner for a really long time, and finally got one. So my mom and my aunt both chipped in to give me the funding to buy an e-spinner, and here she is. So this is the EEW, oh, it's EW, but I don't like that. It's EEW Dreaming Robots. This is the 6.1 version, which is what's available now, and it is a really great e-spinner for what I need. So it was cheaper than a lot of other ones because it is 3D printed, and I feel like it's, you know, very good quality. I haven't had any issues. It was easy to assemble, and then it's got, you know, motor down here, and it comes with a lot of different spin. What are these called? Bobbins? I don't know. Comes with a lot of different ones of these so that you can make a lot of different spins at once. I think it has a bobbin. And, you know, you can turn it on and off. There's a pedal that you attach to be able to control it. You can change the tension with this string here. You can change the direction here. There's a little like Z or S twist, and then you can change the speed over here. And so it's got all the features I need. And yeah, I'm spinning up yarn. So it's really exciting. I've had this Polworth fiber for a long time, for over a year, since I first started learning how to spin with a drop spindle. And so I'm working with that for now to practice. And then I think my next project will be working on this really beautiful little Fiber Co. fiber that I got a while ago. And so I'm really excited for that. And so, yeah, I've really been enjoying this. It is so meditative to just sit and spin as well. And it's definitely inconsistent as of now, but it's okay. It doesn't need to be consistent. I'm playing. So yeah, that's been really enjoyable. Okay, and then my final acquisition is really exciting and fun. So as you all know, I really love Salty Blonde fine fibers. Or if you've been watching for a while, you've probably realized I really love Salty Blonde fine fibers. I think that Ryan, the owner, makes beautiful yarn, like really wonderfully thought out colorways and really wonderfully thought out collections. And then I also just really love Ryan. I've sample knit for her multiple times. I've met her quite a few times at this point at different yarn events and got to talk to her quite a few times and just really love her. Like, she's so sweet and wonderful. And so I got this yarn back in October. This is her Dolce fingering base, and the colorway is Soup, and it's so pretty. Like, this little patch here, focus. This little patch here absolutely kills me. So I got this a while ago and really wanted to design something with it because she only had one skein, and this is a 100% superwash merino, and so I couldn't make like socks with it because it doesn't have any nylon. It is so soft. It is 19.5 microns, and it is so soft. So I didn't want to, make socks with it, and I just had one skein. So I'd been thinking, like, I remember even walking back to my car with my mom talking about this yarn, because at the time I was like, I don't know why I bought that, but I needed it. Like, I couldn't set it down. I was in love with it. Like, this color just spoke to me. And so I was like, I don't know what to do with it. Like, I'm not really sure what I can make. And then I was thinking, like, oh, what if I made like a color work circular yoke and kind of had it be like spilled soup, and it would be like really fun, like soup sweater, and have it like kind of, you know, start small and then extend out as if I'd spilled soup. And then it's like, oh, that's lovely. And then I was thinking about it for a long time and decided then, like, ooh, what if I like made a colorwork raglan that's like called the spilled soup sweater, but I make the colorwork motifs actual like ingredients for soup. And so I have kind of a rough sketch. I'm starting the process of making all my charts for a spilled soup sweater, and so I'll have the picture of my design idea here. And then I wanted to reach out to Ryan because I would really love to release that in early September so that you all can make spilled soup sweaters at a seasonally appropriate time, at least in the Northern Hemisphere. And so if I want to release a design in early September, and for color work, fingering weight garment, I need a 10-week testing period at least. I need to be done around mid-June, ready to send this to test. And so I need to get started soon. And so knowing that I wanted to work with this yarn, and I've designed with Ryan's yarn before, my second sample of the Mountains and Sea sweater was out of Ryan's yarn. Here's a picture. And so knowing all of that, and so I designed with her yarn before, and Ryan had said, like, you know, if you ever want to design with my yarn, let me know. I will give you yarn to work with. And so I decided to reach out to her and say, hey, I'm designing this. Like, I need a main color to work with. I have the contrast color. Here's kind of my thoughts. What do you think? Would you like to work with me on this? And she said yes, because she's such a lovely person. And so she sent me 5 skeins of this colorway. I reached out to her and she was like, what color do you want for your main color? And I was like, what do you think? Like, you have such a good design sense for colors going together. I'm kind of thinking like a neutral, a lighter neutral. And so she was like, how about flour sack? And so she sent me flour sack, and that's what these look like together. And so she sent me 5 skeins of flour sack to work with. And so that should be enough for the sweater. And then she'd also been asking me like, oh, do you want like other colors? Like, do you want all of the kind of ingredients of the soup? So in my current design, I have mushrooms, carrots, and butternut squash. That may change, but that's kind of what it's looking like now. She was like, do you want all of them to be in the same colors, or would you like, you know, different colors for them? And I hadn't even thought of that. It's like, it could be fun to have a sample with both, but like 2 samples, one with uniform color and one with a lot of different colors. But I was like, that's probably too far ahead. And she was like, okay. And then she sent me the package and was like, I also included some other things that I thought might look good with soup. And so she also sent me these yarns, and she was like, no pressure if you don't want to work with them in this design, but I thought they'd look nice. And so these are the colorways Chartreuse with Envy and Truffle, and definitely are amazing with soup. Like, look at these together. Beautiful. Like, so autumnal, so beautiful. Like this whole palette. Oh, I want to eat it. I don't know. It's beautiful. And so what I'm thinking right now is that I'm going to, because then when it arrives, like, I do think it'd be so fun to have a version with the mushrooms, a mushroom color, the carrots, a carrot color, and butternut squash, a butternut squash color. But I probably will make my sample out of this, but I am thinking that I will swatch in these two, because I also think that like a spilled soup sweater in a dark color with like this bright color as the color work would be really cool. So, you know, in this version, I'm kind of thinking like, this is the soup. This is like a mushroom soup or something, like a dark mushroom soup. And then this is like basil oil that people will put on top of their soups. And so the color work can kind of be in that. And so I want to swatch in this so I can kind of see what that would also look like and show another version in a swatch. But then I'll probably make my sample, my first sample at least. I'll probably only do 1 sample. If I made a second, I'd buy the yarn for it. But make my actual sweater out of this combo. So yeah, very exciting. That was so nice of her. She was so excited, or at least, you know, through DM seemed really excited about the design as well. So I really appreciate her supporting me as well, and just being excited and sending me free yarn. So it's kind of, I don't know, is that count as an ad? Let me know. It is gifted. Like, in all transparency, I didn't pay for this yarn. I paid for the soup skein. I didn't pay for the rest. And so I'm so grateful for that. I still am not sure like what the disclosure is. Is that an ad? I don't know. I'd buy her yarn anyways. I love her, but I didn't pay for it. So there you go. So those are my acquisitions. And then on my bingo card, I did check off 1 box this month, and that is 3-month yarn ban. Despite having yarn to show here, I didn't buy any yarn. So I'm still counting it as a win, because that was kind of my parameters of don't buy any yarn. I know that oftentimes I sample knit and the compensation is yarn, and so I can either choose to not get paid for my work or take in yarn, and so end up with yarn. Of course, this is design compensation, and so that is different. And then, or it's not even composition, but design support, so that's also different, but I'm not counting it. And then these are gifted. You know, I didn't request my friend Leah go buy me yarn. She decided to do that for my birthday, which was a lovely gift. So yeah, I accomplished my 3-month yarn ban from early January through the end of March, and feeling great. I'm gonna, you know, try to continue for a 6-month yarn ban. You will probably see sample yarn still come through, but otherwise I'm not buying any yarn for the next 6 months. I also did frog my Friday slipover, which is on my bingo. So here's all my frog yarn. This was in a vlog I filmed a little while ago of me frogging this. So here's the yarn. Ready for me to knit it up into a new Friday slipover. And then I also, am starting on the process of collaborating on a design with this yarn, which is super exciting. I got my e-spinner, so I'm working towards knitting a sweater with hand spun because I can actually hand spin now at a large enough quantity. And yeah, I think that those are kind of the ones I'm working towards right now, which is exciting. I'm also working towards releasing 2 designs as one of mine. I released another design, so I'm halfway there. So yeah, bingo card. I feel like every month I'm like, oh, I want more, like I want to check more things off, but I gave myself a lot of goals that are kind of longer, like slower rolls, and so I'm working towards a lot and have a lot that will be checked off, but I've got to reach the tipping point to check them off, and I'm not quite there for a lot of them yet, but I'm working towards things, which is also very exciting. And so that's where the bingo card is. And then I've been hinting at exciting life updates. And so finally we're here. I wanted to have them at the end because I know not everyone cares about my life, which that's not like a dig. No hard feelings either way if you want to leave now. I get it if you're here for knitting. But my life updates, I started working at Exploring Knits and Fibers. So they are a yarn company that's based in Colorado. They're just in Denver. I live a little bit north of Denver, and so they're based there. And I've sample knit for them twice before, of course, just now, and then a year or so before. I've worked with their yarn before. This is actually has some Explore Knits yarn in it, my Friday slipover. And so I've liked them for quite a while, and they're local, which is lovely. And yeah, they had a posting for a part-time position, and I decided when I got laid off, like, might as well work part-time at that, give myself a little bit of a break while I'm figuring out other things and get to learn more about an industry that I've cared about for a long time in hand-dyed yarn. And so I applied. I got to, meet everyone on the team during interview processes. I did a working interview and finally heard back that I did get the job. And so I started a few weeks ago now, and it is amazing. I will say dyeing yarn is very labor intensive. Like, my body is sore after work. I am tired. I am sleeping good after work. So it's been really interesting to learn, and everyone there is so nice. Like, I'm so happy. Like, it's just nice being around really, people who also have a passion for knitting or fiber arts in general or yarn and just are nice and work together. And it's nice to use my body for work again, like not just sitting at my desk every day. And so I'm really enjoying it. I definitely still have a lot to learn. I'm only, on week 2 or 3 at this point. So obviously I still have a lot to learn. And I have some muscles to build because I am looking around like pots of water and dye and yarn, and they are heavy. And so I've got to build up my biceps and my back muscles. And so I'm excited for that. And yeah, just really, really enjoying it. Like, it's just, I still keep having pinch me moments where I'm like, I work at a yarn dyer. Like, that's so cool. And so that is so cool and exciting. And then I also shared in my last podcast that I got into a PhD program, and I have accepted the PhD program. So I'll be starting in the fall and getting my PhD in health and behavioral sciences. And so I just am over the moon, so excited about both of these things. I feel like it's such a good balance for me where I get to have a really creative job and build community at this job where I'm working with people that I really like and are really engaged, and I get to talk to a lot because, we're working with our hands a lot. It's not like we're sitting in meetings and trying to send emails and can't really converse, and we're all across the globe. We're all together doing this work where I get to chat with people that are interesting and cool and nice. And so I'm just so excited working there and getting to kind of use this creative side of me and seeing like how different colorways are developed, and all of this is so interesting. It's so cool, like seeing a skein go from like bare yarn out of a box that's been shipped to them to like a full skein going out the door to a customer is like so cool. And so I'm so excited and grateful to be there. And it's like really tickling this creative part of my brain and making me more excited to knit and more excited to design and just be in a crafty creative space. And then I'm really excited in the fall to also start my PhD and get to kind of use my thoughtful analytical side of my brain again, because I feel like in my past job I was a project manager, and sometimes I got to do some thinking about like, okay, program design in Afghanistan for health programs and stuff, but generally like I was making sure people were doing their work and meeting deadlines and like answering emails and figuring out file sizes and like formatting and stuff. And so I'm really excited to get back to like using this really thoughtful analytical part of my brain that I've missed, and like engaging in academic discussions and like just tickle like the creative thinking part of me and just like discuss with people. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be cool. And so I'm very excited about both of those. I feel like I'm on like a path that at the beginning of this year, I would not have predicted that by March I was working at Explorer Knits and Fibers and getting my PhD in the fall. Like, would not have predicted this at all for this year. And so I'm over the moon. Like, this year has definitely already had a lot of hard parts with losing my job and being so frustrated at work and being so scared of the uncertainty. But now that I'm kind of on the other side of that, I feel so happy and so excited. So I just wanted to say, like, I know a lot of people are going through similar things. I know there's a lot of uncertainty around and a lot of fear, economically, politically, everything. And if you are in that boat, like, I feel, I hope that this is like slightly inspiring. I'm not trying to brag or say like, oh, look at all this, but like I never would have imagined my life being able to do this. Like before a few months ago, I was like, how would I ever support myself without a full-time job? And like, how would I ever make this work? And I'm like, okay, yeah, I can't buy as much yarn as I used to. And like, I have to be conscious about my grocery bills more. And like our heating bill, I have to be more conscious about that. And like, I can't just, like, I have to put a lot more thought into any purchase I make, and I have to say no a lot more. But I'm able to live, I'm able to eat. Like, I was able to start working at my Pilates studio, to have a free membership, and so I'm able to still work out and eat and have a place to sleep that's comfortable and do all this and have really fulfilling work that does like makes me want to spend less money, because I'm like, I don't need to go buy new things to get dopamine. I already have so much of it. And so if you, I don't know, are in a similar place where you feel stuck but you can't imagine something else, highly recommend like taking the plunge. I promise it will probably work out for you. Like, I don't know everyone's situation, but I felt so stuck and so like unhappy with where I was, but had no idea what something else could look like. And here I am. And it looks great. Like, I know that I'm going to be able to pay my bills for a while and I get to do fun things. And so I feel happier and more content and everything. So if any of this resonates, I urge you to do the scary thing. Because it could work out. And it could be amazing. And you could feel so much calmer and great. So, okay, that's kind of a tangent. I think that's it. I just watched The Residence. Sometimes I give media recommendations. So that's what this is. I just watched The Residence, which is a show on Netflix. It was so good. I love a quirky detective show, and this hit the mark. It was so good. So I highly recommend watching that. I'm listening to Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers. I think that's what it's called. And it is so good. really enjoying that as well. I'm clearly on like a quirky detective, like cozy mystery shtick, and I'm loving it. Oh, and Noah and I just finished Severance, and you probably don't need a 103rd person to tell you to watch Severance if you've been online. It is a very good show. It's very popular right now. It was really good. The second season we didn't like quite as much, but it was still really good. It was still really interesting and engaging. Like, it is the most engaged I've felt with TV for a long time. And so I guess that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys again soon. Okay? Bye!